Greetings internet, it's me, Glacy. I'm back recording another video that will be edited at an unknown time. It says someone who has like a bunch of videos to edit, but I never edit. But I was at work and I was thinking about a bunch of like videos on YouTube I've been seeing recently, and I've just been having a lot of thoughts. And it's about weight loss and like health, wellness, that type of thing. And obviously, first and foremost, this is all my opinion. I'm not a medical professional by any means. I did not study science in college. I have not taken a science class since I was, what, 18? I'm pushing 23. So by no means am like a qualified professional to talk about this. This is literally just all my opinion and like observations I've seen on the internet for the past like couple weeks. And basically it's the rise of like skinny talk apparently. And I'll give like some disclaimers, I guess. So first and foremost, I don't use TikTok anymore. Like I don't scroll through TikTok. Like I literally only go on TikTok to look at creators that I like. And then I don't use Twitter, so I don't know if they're talking about skinny talk on Twitter. I don't know what the current discourse is about it, but basically I've just been seeing a lot of stuff. And I think part of it's like I've kind of been into wellness for the past year and a half, like health, wellness, eating well, stuff like that. And it's just so interesting to see kind of like everything kind of converge and like go kaboom right now. So basically there are like a couple things I want to talk about. So obviously we all know about like Ozempic, right? Ozempic is like I'm not a doctor, I don't know anything about this, but basically from what I know, Ozempic is a medication that I think was originally for like diabetes or some type of illness, and now it's being used also to help with obesity, weight loss, stuff like that. And that's been on the rise. I feel like it feels like it's been in my vocabulary for a long time, but I know it couldn't have been any earlier than like my junior year of college, which my junior year of college was what, 2022 to 2023? That sounds right. So that was like what, 2-3 years ago at this point, like 2 years ago. And that's been like a big conversation, like, oh my gosh, everyone's on Ozempic. Like that's a common conversation. Like you see someone lose weight like fast, it's like, oh, she's on Ozempic, or like basically just anybody losing weight. Like I remember I saw when Ice Spice, I think she's lost weight recently. People are like, oh, Ice Spice on Ozempic, or like I said, just literally anybody who lost weight recently, it's just like, oh, they're on Ozempic, because I guess I don't know why Ozempic blew up. I think maybe it got approval for overweight, but I just know it's been everywhere. And so I think that's like a big like common conversation, because we've just been seeing so many celebrities, so many influencers, people just pop up and say, oh, you lost weight out of nowhere, or it feels like last time I saw you, you were bigger and now you're smaller. So I think that's been a part of it. It's like, damn, everyone wants to be skinny now. And then also we've seen people like Kim Kardashian, the Kardashian sisters, they've like taken out their BBLs. People who used to be like really curvy and like kind of like that slim thick 2016 vibe, they're no longer slim thick, they're really just slim. And I think other things that I've kind of led up to this moment was, I think a couple months ago, I wasn't on TikTok to really like see a lot of the content and like commentary, or even the original video. I only saw this on YouTube through commentary. But basically I think I remember watching this girl on TikTok, but basically she made a whole video and she was just like, yeah, I love being skinny, da da da, and everyone was just like, oh my god, you're so fat phobic, I can't believe like your biggest achievement is being skinny. And honestly I can't really remember the video, but I just like a big conversation, because it's just like she's fat phobic. I think they were saying like she was also like leaning into white beauty standards. I could be wrong, but I just remember, like I said, there was a lot.
My favorite thing to be is skinny. And I fear you cannot say that out loud, but it is my favorite thing to be, and it is my favorite fear to not be. And this is just for me personally. This is all personal to me.
I think also another thing I've kind of been seeing, I don't know if this has just been gaining like, what's the word, gaining traction, but I've just been seeing a lot of content from like the fat at every size, or no, not fat at every size, health at every size movement, which is basically kind of like a body positivity movement. And there's kind of like two sides of, and I've been seeing a lot of content creators who kind of react to these creators, and they call it like haes, Haes, which is basically health at every size. And they react to a lot of creators who are like plus size or fat, people identify as fat, that's not like a bad word, but people who are fat who kind of like advocate that you can be healthy at fat even though you're like literally obese, like morbidly obese. And I've just been seeing, like I said, I've just been seeing so much content, and like I said, maybe I'm just in a bubble of like health content and like wellness, and like my YouTube algorithm and stuff like that has been targeting me, because that's, I really consume a lot of internet content like this. But it's just been really interesting to see, because the health at every size movement, it's a lot of like I said, obese people who are basically just saying, oh yeah, you could be healthy at every size, even though like a lot of the issues they may be experiencing, like they kind of like go against science, low-key. It's like I don't know if that's necessarily true sometimes, but it's just them. So that's like one sector of content I've been seeing. And then recently, like I don't even know where, because I was watching another video where a girl was like, yeah, I don't know, all of a sudden on my FYP I've just been seeing so much skinny talk videos, and like I said, I don't use TikTok, but I've just been seeing so many videos videos on my YouTube like home feed where it's like skinny, like a lot of skinny talk reaction videos, or like, oh, skinny talk is not good, or skinny talk is great, or actually I love skinny talk, unpopular opinion, da da da. So like I said, all the videos I've seen have been secondhand. So I'm not on my TikTok seeing all the videos. I'm sure I'm only really seeing like some of the more popular ones because the people who I watch reacting to them are reacting to the more popular ones. And so with skinny talk is basically a bunch of women. I mean, I feel like some of the videos I have seen like maybe one man, maybe it's like the same man. I didn't even do my eyebrows. I am kind of trying out different makeup, but there are like people basically giving advice on how to lose weight, and a lot of them are kind of mean. I feel like a big factor of skinny talk is you have to be mean. Like, you don't have to be mean, but it kind of is like, okay, you're like, I've seen like, if you know Tony Fine, if you've never seen Tony Fine, maybe I'll like be a really good editor and like add that in.
I'm 210 pounds. What should I do? You should eat less. 5 meals a day is gluttonous? No, you are. You're the one walking around with a double chin and only eating 1 meal a day. Wrapping your stomach in saran wrap and Vicks Vapor Rub at night does absolutely nothing. You did it last night and you woke up and your stomach is still big. You weigh 77 kilograms. Can I lose 37.5 by the summer if you cut off both legs? You know what? I'm sorry. I want you to still be able to hop around. So cut off one leg and one arm. You need to lose 20 pounds. You need to eat less then.
But she basically she like does live streams and people are like, oh, how do I lose weight? And she's like, or someone like, say someone was like, oh yeah, how do you manage cheat days when you're on a diet? She's like, you don't need a cheat day. You've had a cheat life. And then like the people just make edits and like she'll just say crazy stuff, or she'll be like, oh, you want to lose 100 pounds in 10 days? You'll be able to do that if you cut off both your leg and your arm. It's just like, what the hell? That's her videos. And it's kind of funny. And some people say it's really fat phobic and it's toxic. And like, basically, like, she's kind of like one person who I feel like is kind of like the head. I don't think she's the head of Skinny Talk because she's been there. But then there's like another girl I've seen in a lot of these reaction. I think her name's like Melania or something. And she's like, she calls herself the head of Skinny Talk. And basically, like I said, a lot of the people, when you look at their videos at the fundamental, they're basically telling you how to lose weight. Are they saying it in the nicest way? Like Tony Fine. Is she saying in the nicest way? No. She's basically just saying you need to count your calories, you need to cut, and what's counting calories? Literally just cutting your portions, right? Or you need to work out, or you need to do these things to lose weight. And a lot of people are saying that this is bringing back like diet culture, all these things. I don't know. I feel like for me, I think some people like mean ways to lose weight. Like some people, like even personal trainers, like, you know, you ever go to the gym or you see people at the gym with their personal trainer and their personal trainer's like, you need to do this, you're being fat, or like just being mean. Some people like that. Do I like that? Personally, for me, I feel like when I want to lose weight or I want to do something, it's kind of like, at the end of the day, people who love me, at the end of the day, the only person who's really going to get me up to do whatever I want to do, whether it's get a good grade or get a job or lose weight, like it's going to be me. So I'm not someone where I would say I'm like the target of the audience, where it's like when they say negative stuff, I'm just like, ooh, like I don't feel like I necessarily have a negative reaction, but I don't necessarily feel like I have a positive one. It's like, ooh, let me get up. Like sometimes it'd be like, ooh, you said your big one. Like for example, when Tony Fine was like, oh yeah, you don't need a cheat day, you've had a cheat life. It's kind of like, she's kind of right. Like you have been eating crazy for a bit, so do you really need a cheat day on when you're trying to lose weight right now? But we're saying it's toxic, it's not healthy, it's bringing back diet culture. And I don't know, I feel like everyone is gonna have their own reaction, and I think it's kind of just like, I feel like on the internet there are different content creators for everyone. There's gonna be like the nice intuitive eating, the nice you can eat whatever you want people, and there are gonna be people who are not gonna be as nice. They're gonna be people who are mean about it, or they're gonna be people who are in the middle. And I think a lot of the internet is kind of just realizing that some content is gonna work for you and some content isn't. What's content I don't like to watch? I don't know. I don't really watch gaming. Like, I guess a better example would be like, I watch a lot of lifestyle content, but there are people who make, for example, parent vlogs or couple vlogs, or there's couple channels, and I don't watch that type of content because it doesn't really apply. I think Skinny Talk is kind of just like, if you like that type of motivation, you should do it. I think people are also saying that it's promoting, like, it's fat phobic, and I think that kind of goes into a lot of like the health at every size rhetoric, in my opinion, from what I've seen, where it's like, it's fat phobic. Because like, if you've ever watched like health at every size like content, one of the things people like that will say is like, oh, active, like literally deciding to lose weight is fat phobic, or wanting to do this is fat phobic. And it's just like, that was what I want to do with my body, fat phobic. Like, I mean, I guess maybe I'm scared of being fat. Like, I don't know, I don't really see how like someone deciding they want to change their own body is fat phobic. There's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. I think different people are gonna like different things when it comes to their weight loss journey, and I don't necessarily think Skinny Talk at its purest form is wrong, right? Like people are like, this is terrible, it's bringing back diet culture. And I feel like people say that about anything. And I think there's this thing with EDs, like eating disorders. I guess I shouldn't say that, right? On the internet, I think you're supposed to say ED, my bad. But with eating disorders, where it's like people will just have this idea of like, okay, me doing this caused me to have eating disorder, or like that was associated when I had an eating disorder, so everybody who does this is also gonna have eating disorder. So for example, when I was like, okay, I want to lose some weight, and I was like, okay, I want to count calories, but I feel like there was so much content when I was like researching, okay, how do I go about losing weight, that was just like, don't count calories, that's the worst thing to do, just eat intuitively. But it's like, when you think about it, I ate intuitively to gain this weight. How will me continuing to eat intuitively help me lose the weight that I gained from eating intuitively? Let's think about that, right? And I do understand, I'm not trying to belittle people who've had eating disorders, especially in like the restrictive way where like they've over restricted calories, but that doesn't necessarily mean anybody who's doing the thing that you did when you were sick makes them have that eating disorder, or it's automatically gonna make someone develop an eating disorder. Sure, when I started, I was very like mindful of like, okay, do I feel like I'm developing any issues with this? And I was like, no, I don't feel like any, like I could definitely eat without, like I've definitely gone periods without eating in the calorie deficit or counting my calories, and I've been in periods where I am. So I don't really think it's necessarily like, okay, you do this. And I think that's kind of like a lot of the rhetoric with weight loss. I feel like a lot of the people who've had restrictive eating disorders are kind of like a lot of the loudest minorities of like the anti, like, oh yeah, don't lose weight, like you can eat whatever you want, intuitive eating, da, 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 da. And I feel like that's a lot of the content I've seen. And then like, I just feel like more recently we've kind of just been talking about like, okay, you can do this to lose weight if that's something you want to do, and it's not necessarily disordered. Obviously, like I said, some people may be more prone to developing that if they decide to do it, and everyone should be cognizant of that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, oh my gosh, it's gonna cause an eating disorder. There might be other issues in you that might make you more predisposed. I don't know if eating disorders are genetic. I don't know if maybe you have other mental health disorders or what. Like I really don't know. But, and I'm sure there might be information on that on the line, but I'm just saying like not everyone who does those things is gonna have eating disorder. Basically, I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm kind of like talking through my thoughts as we're doing this, but I feel like, right, a lot of the late the 2000s, right? I was alive in the early 2000s, but I was not really a cognizant being. I was a baby and early elementary school student. In the early 2000s, it was a lot of the diet culture, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I want to be Coke model thin, I want to do all this. And then I feel like obviously the culture had to shift. And then we went into the early 2010s, mid 2010s, where it was like, okay, Kim Kardashian, BBL. So with that, it was kind of, and also a lot of body positivity where it's like, you know, plus size models were being introduced to a lot of things. And like, we were seeing a lot more representation in sizes at a lot of different stores and stuff like that. And then, so I feel like a lot of the diet culture kind of like went down. Like people weren't promoting unhealthy eating habits. And I feel like as a whole, a lot more people were accepting of like everybody's body can look however they want it to look, or that's just how someone's body look, like it's not our business or whatever. And then so I feel like a lot of that talk, like diet talk, kind of fell down. I feel like it wasn't really in the mainstream, and then like it feels like now it's back in the mainstream. And some of it isn't the most positive. Like some, like I said, the way how people are presenting the information, like, okay, how to lose weight, it isn't the most positive. So a lot of people who don't like that, who maybe have this struggle with disorder eating, or they're like worried of developing an eating disorder, are like, no, we can't count calories. Oh, no, you're talking about losing weight. That's terrible. Don't do that, da. But I don't think it's necessarily terrible. And I think at the end of the day, also with eating disorders, whether it's binging eating disorders or restrictive or just anything on the internet, especially on short form content, you have to be mindful of the fact that you're only seeing a snippet. Like it's literally only 60 seconds, or I guess, I know on TikTok now it only goes 10 minutes, but a lot of people on TikTok, or I know for a fact, are not watching 10-minute videos. And you have to be mindful of that. You don't have all the information. And I feel like you can't fault creators or people on the internet who are only giving short information, or not like providing so many disclaimers of like, oh my gosh, don't develop this eating disorder, don't do this. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it's so disingenuous to expect people, especially when it's like this is short form content, for someone to provide all of these disclaimers, to do all of those different things to prevent people from doing what they want to do at the end of the day with their life. I think at the end of the day, everyone has to go out and still do their research to be like, okay, this person said to do this, is this gonna work? Or like, even if they're not doing research, just literally thinking about who you are as a person. Like, this person said to do this, does this work for me? Like, for example, when I decided I want to lose weight, I've never really done things like keto or carnivore or like count my carbs. Like, I've never been into that, because I was just, one, I didn't feel like it really went along with the goals I had for myself, and I just felt like it didn't really apply to me. And sometimes on the internet, everyone wants everything to be specifically tailored to them. Like, oh my gosh, for example, you're talking about counting calories, that is so triggering, you shouldn't talk about it. It's just like, not everyone has an eating disorder. Not everyone who is gonna try counting calories is gonna have an issue with it and potentially develop an eating, like, you know, like I understand the idea of like wanting to protect other people, but at the same time it's like you can't expect the internet or life to be completely tailored to your every illness or disability or mental health challenge. Like obviously I feel like certain things, and I just feel like especially on a platform like TikTok where it's like videos start without there ever even being a trigger warning. It's not like YouTube where it's like you see a title where it's like, okay, this is talking about weight loss, and you're like, I know weight loss is triggering. It's like on TikTok, it just happens. And I don't think it's necessarily bad for people to promote wanting to lose weight, especially in a society, especially as someone who's like I said, gone kind of down this wellness journey of like learning about food and like working out and just realizing how terrible a lot of the food in America is. You wonder why so many people are sick all the time or have illnesses, or it's all like all the food has so much sugar, all the food is fried in so much oil, all the portion sizes, like because you can eat sugar, you can drink this, you could do that, like you could do all of these things, and that's where moderation comes in. But it's like when you really look at it, there is so much sugar in everything. It actually might be criminal. Like it has to be criminal. So what's my point? I think skinny talk the worst thing to ever happen? Maybe not. I think there are creators who are maybe saying what, from I could tell, not from my personal experience, but what I've seen people say is kind of like, is it called pro-ana? And so it's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be using those talking phrases that are usually affiliated with that. But I don't think necessarily helping people figure out, oh, these are easy ways I can implement into my life how I can lose weight. Oh, I can walk for 30 minutes a day, or, you know, try to aim to get 10,000 steps and that can help me improve my body. Or, oh, I could be counting calories. I don't think those are terrible. I think it's kind of just, you know, at the end of the day, what your goals are. Some people have goals affiliated with losing weight and other people don't. And I think that is not the worst thing in the world. I think everybody has different body goals, and I think it's crazy to think that people can't talk about that on the internet because some people are like, oh my god, this is going to cause an eating disorder or this, that, and third. Like, no, I think everyone on the internet needs to be responsible for themselves. And I know people have talked about like minors on the internet. I feel like I wasn't just a minor. I haven't been a minor for what, coming up on 5 years. But I don't know, I feel like even in spaces where it's like, okay, like what can we do about minors on the internet? Like obviously we should be cognizant of the audience, but it's like people at the end of the day still are going to do what they want to do, no matter how much you disclaim, no matter how much you say, if you're under 18 you shouldn't be watching this video, or if there's like a disclaimer that comes up like, oh, if you're under 18 don't watch this video. People are going to say yes. You know how I know? Because I was an under 18 on the internet saying yes, I was 18 and putting a fake birthday in. So I don't really know about a minor conversation of like how this is implicating, or I guess affecting minors, I should say. So my thoughts on weight loss in 2025, I think we're just kind of at a cross zone. You know, like we used to be very pro BBL, and I'm sure, like, don't get me wrong, I think that's another thing where different cultures and communities have different beauty standards, right? Like, it's like, I'm sure you go some places where it's like, you seem like you're too small, it's like, oh, you're not eating, you starving yourself, or because like being thicker is like the standard. I feel like it's kind of just like we're at the cross section between the insane, like super kind of unrealistic body positivity where it's like, yes, I'm 500 pounds and that is in no ways affecting my health, even though my knees hurt, I can't walk 5 steps without breathing heavy. There's that, and then there's also the, okay, I want to be super thin. And it's like, because of our previous history with diet culture in the 2000s, I think everyone's just being like, oh my god, this is so bad. People are talking about losing weight and they're talking about it meanly. I think, like I said, weight loss is something where some people need the motivation to do it. And for me personally, like I said, I think I am someone where I gain a lot of my motivation intrinsically. I don't care who you are. Like, even if you're my bestest friend, my mom, my partner, whoever, like, my motivation is not coming unless I want to. Like, you could tell me, Glacy, you do this, I believe in you so much, but it's like, if I don't want to do it, you know? And so that's just me. But some people, and I'm sure a lot of people might feel the same way, but some people are not like that. Some people, they need to take this up with their therapist, but some people need degradation. Some people like that. Some people, that is what gets them going, literally. No, I'm sorry. But that's what gets some people going, do what they gotta do, like to be like, damn, you're gonna stay broke for the rest of your life. So then that motivates them to go get a job. Or, oh my gosh, you're gonna be big and you're not gonna be able in a summer body. And I mean, I guess like I said, some people like are saying this is fatphobic. And I could see how like some of the rhetoric is like, okay, that's what you think about fat people. It's like, oh, your stomach's hanging over your waistband, over your pants. It's like, oh, like, sure, you're not necessarily saying that about any specific person, but it's like, is that what you think about fat people? And I mean, even if they do, it's like, is that wrong for someone to think that? Like, I'm not saying, is someone committing thought crimes but not necessarily directing it toward anyone a thought crime? I don't know, is that a crazy question? I think people should continue to pursue and watch the content that works for them. If you're someone where you don't like that mean bullying content, for me, I don't think I would probably be watching a lot of it. I don't think that would have came up on my FYP. I'm someone where I don't really need, like I said, I don't need the motivation, so I would have probably been watching a lot of people who are just like, yeah, this is how I lose weight, this is the food I eat, this is my gym workout, whatever. That's more me versus like someone yelling at me and calling me a fat slob. I don't necessarily like, I could watch that video and be like, and deduce the like important information, or if there even is important information, without like absorbing the negative thoughts. But I can understand why some people wouldn't, right? Like it is mean, like some of it is mean. So thoughts and future, you know, moving forward, I think people should follow the fitness content that works for them. Rampantly click not interested if it's not for you. I think people should call out creators who are making actual like diet 2000s diet culture. Like I know there's like some people who keep on quoting like that Kate Moss, like nothing tastes better as thin feels, which like I said, hearing that does sound a little toxic. Like it's like, okay, like I get like your body's really important to you, but it does sound like, damn, like nothing, not even like your favorite food, you don't got any favorite foods. That is like a pretty intense statement, but once again, it's not like the worst thing. I mean, not that I've heard other things that are along that lines, but I just feel like on its surface level, to me, it isn't the craziest thing to hear. But I understand that the history comes from like, you know, the 2000s diet culture where like these models were starving themselves so they can fit into like 2T, like literally toddlers clothes, so they can model. So I understand, and I could understand people being like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't use that because that's very much affiliated with a certain history, even if like on its surface you don't necessarily recognize it. Because like if someone didn't tell me that it was like from the 2000s diet culture, I wouldn't have necessarily been like, oh, that's the worst thing. I'd be like, I don't know if I agree. Like I definitely could think of some food that I can enjoy that tastes better than being skinny. How does the makeup look? I think this is kind of like a new, I'm trying to like level up my makeup right now in my life. So yeah, I'm trying to like, I feel like I've been doing my makeup the same way for a while now. Okay. If you are interested in basic weight loss, honestly, it really is calories in versus calories out, which basically just means cut your portions. I feel like it's easier to cut your portions when you're eating healthier things because those foods are usually maybe more dense. Or let me say, you could eat like 15 chocolate pretzels from Trader Joe's. I love those. Those are my addiction personally. And you can eat those, or you can actually have a real meal that's gonna satiate you, you know? So that's kind of like some of the ways you could think about. And yeah, I don't know, I think you can work out. You don't have to work out to lose weight. Like sure, it's helpful and it can help you build muscle, and and it can also help to like accelerate the weight loss because you're burning effectively more calories. But the biggest, easiest way is just to be mindful of your portions. Like say if you don't want to count calories, it's too much, or you feel like it's disordered, literally just eating less food. You don't even have to count calories. You just like say you normally go to Dunkin' Donuts every day and you get 4 donuts and you eat 4 donuts every day. If you just start eating 2 donuts every single day, you're gonna notice a difference. Because I'm sure, I don't even know how many calories a donut is, but I'm sure that is a lot of calories to be eating every single day, and you'll start to see a difference. Now the easy way to lose weight is to cut out liquid calories. If you're someone where you go through, I remember a couple years ago I was watching this girl on YouTube and she would literally go through a case of Fanta. It wasn't a case of 12, but a case of 6 Fanta every single day. You can either, one, you know, the best thing to do is drink water, or you can start drinking diet. Definitely, you know, I would say like have way more water than like 6 cans of diet Fanta or any diet soda, but that is one way to improve your life. Like I said, you don't have to count calories, but like I said, because effectively counting calories is literally just limiting how much you're eating. Some people, like I said, need someone to curse them out, to get off their feet, get off their backs, and lose weight. I think you should also think about, why do you want to lose weight? Like, is it for health reasons? Is it just for aesthetic? Like, I feel like you need your own reasons, because like at the end of the day, like there's not always going to be some random lady on TikTok yelling at you, calling you fat for you to lose weight. So you can think about intrinsically, why do you want to lose weight? Do you want to lose weight so you can be more active, so you feel more comfortable? You should think of your own reason, whatever it is. No one cares what the reason is personally. Like, I mean, I don't care what your reason is, and I don't necessarily think one reason is necessarily bad than other, but I just feel like you need more than just shame from a random lady on the internet saying like, yeah, you want to lose 100 pounds, you need to cut off your arm and leg. That video, it was so funny. When I first saw it, I would literally bust it out laughing because she's so serious when she says that. Totally fine. Overall, like I said, I think weight loss and like how people lose weight loss is a very personal thing. I think there's so many things. Some people don't want to lose weight. Some people are very comfortable with their bodies, whether they're super skinny, super fat, and that's perfectly fine. Some people aren't. Some people need more motivation to get up off their butt and lose weight, and some people that motivation looks terrible. And I think also just in general, this kind of just goes into internet discernment of recognizing that something that might work for me may not work for the next person. And so like, even if I know I don't really like being yelled at, that doesn't necessarily mean that there are literally hundreds of people in the comments being like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, this really helped me get off my butt and like go out for a walk or motivated me. And so I don't necessarily think it's wrong. Obviously there are like the fringe cases of people potentially developing, but realistically at the same time, those people probably would have is that crazy to say? Those people may have developed the eating disorder regardless. It's like, at the end of the day, I think another thing I also want to make a video about, but like, social media is a problem, but some of the issues that people have with social media is really just an inner reflection of themselves and issues that they need to get help with. So like, if someone making a TikTok video saying, oh yes, this is how I lost weight, maybe they're a little mean about it, I just don't necessarily think the TikTok was the catalyst of them developing the eating disorder. They probably were already at risk for developing, and I guess maybe like the TikTok, or you could argue, pushed them over the edge, but I don't know. I just don't think TikToks and YouTube videos and posts online are the issue. Can they help perpetuate, especially like communities like I'm still on Twitter, like stumbled into ED Twitter, where like they literally talk about like starving themselves and like eating. I can understand that that's an issue, but someone who's saying, yes, I just want to lose weight, or I want to be thin, or I want to maintain my body, I don't think there's anything wrong with people wanting to put effort into looking the way they want to look. And I think it's a lot more genuine for people to be like, yes, I walk 10,000 steps every day, 15,000 steps every day. Yes, I only eat. I intermittent fast, so I don't eat breakfast every day, or I do this, rather than like the idea of like, this is so effortless. So I feel like just on the internet, there's so much like, and just in this day and age where people just like train things as if like they don't put any effort. Like I feel like so many times, oh yeah, I had no idea, like I blew up on YouTube and I had no idea that you can make money off of YouTube. And it's like, you blew up on YouTube in 2023. You had no idea that people make money off the internet in 2023. Like, don't stop lying to me. Like I literally turn off the video then, because I'm just like, you're lying. I feel like, sure, some people have always been skinny their entire life, but you have to sometimes think like, okay, maybe they've always been small because their family has always eaten healthily their entire life, or they've always been super fit and they've always done lots of sports, or their parents have always encouraged them to go to the gym or work out. So I just feel like a lot of things in life, even if you don't think they require a lot of effort, they do. And even if for you that would be a lot of effort, that might not be a lot of effort for them. Because like I said, if someone grew up eating healthy, right, they grew up eating salmon for dinner and salads and being mindful, like they don't necessarily always eat fast food every single day like some people do. I feel like that isn't as much effort as some people who would be like, oh my gosh, that's diet culture, no one wants to eat salmon for dinner, that's terrible, da 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 da, they can't enjoy themselves, they can't live life. Like, no, I don't think that's true. I just think it's different and it requires effort. Anything, like you want to gain weight, like I know people who are skinny, like literally a girl I went to college with, have her contact in my phone, and I saw she made a video on TikTok, and then it was like promoting her YouTube channel where she was talking about how she gained weight because it was something she always struggled with, gaining weight. And like I said, I also understand that there are also health issues and stuff like that, and it's kind of a tangent, but I understand there are a lot of like fringe cases that make things difficult. But I just think people can lose weight, people can gain weight, people can take Ozempic, people can get surgery, people can be bullied into losing weight if that's what they genuinely want to do, right? And like I said, I think also another thing is like with skinnytok, I'm kind of like going all around, but hopefully the edit is good of this. But I think another thing with skinnytok is I don't necessarily feel like a lot of those women are making content to be like to anybody who isn't interested in it. They're not like, oh my gosh, you are fat. I just feel like a lot of the content seems like it's geared toward people who are gonna be interested in it. It's not like they're just like targeting any, it's like, did you wake up 155 pounds today? Like, I don't really feel like they're targeting people who aren't interested in weight loss. It feels like a lot of the people, their audience are people who are interested in this, and it's not really random girls. And I mean, sure, like I said, people might get caught up in it, but I don't know, I just feel like I don't think it's the worst thing for people to be cognizant of their health and recognize how much it might take for them to lose weight, gain weight, maintain their body. Yeah, that's kind of just my 2 cents on the whole thing. Not professional. And I think my makeup looks good. I keep on looking at myself in the viewfinder. I feel like this looks good. Let me look at my phone, because that's the real teller. If I like how I look at my phone, then I know I'm gonna like how I look in general. I actually do like how this looks. Yes, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about like kind of like my thoughts on like where the internet is on weight loss culture and where it's going. Obviously, like I said, I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional on eating disorders, weight loss, weight gain, any of those things, but kind of like what my overall observations and thoughts on the state of wellness, weight loss in 2025. Thanks for watching. I've also made other videos on my channel. Lots of Get Ready With Me, is a couple vlogs, so if you're interested in that type of content, make sure you check out my channel and subscribe. Bye.